So Testrom came back up this week, and KingsIsle has updated it with a few patches. Honestly, I think they've been patching it every single day now. So a lot of new patches and a lot of things that they've been fixing. They fixed the critical issue. So I'll probably do that in a separate video where I actually go in and test that out for you guys to see what the changes are. Because pretty sure the multiplier is in effect. And if an enemy has any sort of block, you aren't going to be doing double the damage that you normally would with a critical. So, big difference there. But other things, they have patched out that glitch where you couldn't hit twice in one turn. Like 2 people on your team could not both hit with an AoE or I think any hit. But they fixed that. So a lot of things got patched. And what's funny is we went through Karamelle, on my Storm, and we didn't have critical. We also had that glitch where you couldn't hit. So to me, that makes Karamelle even easier now because we can critical and do all these things, and the world's actually a lot shorter because they didn't change any of the enemies, I don't think. But yeah, they did all that. They also have been, well, Matt has been tweeting out some ideas for the spells. Now, I haven't actually gone in and talked about the spells too much. I just went and showed you guys the animations because I know people want to see what they look like, but the actual spells themselves, like the damage and the effects they do, I talked about a little bit in the update notes, but not in any detail. And I want to go through and show you guys some of the proposed spell element changes that Matt wants to make. But here is the spell elemental tree for my Storm spell. Obviously, for me, I would go for the top path, and I feel like most people would do that because getting a bigger blade per enemy you defeated is not really worth it because you plan on killing that first hit. So the bottom row really doesn't make too much sense. The top row is good because you're increasing your damage. You can get up to 980 to 1120 damage AoE. So this is basically an updated Stormlord. It's a Shadow Stormlord. Another good thing they've done in Karamelle that I really like is they've made spell elements way easier to get. They have said in tweets, I think it was Matt Natick, someone said in tweets that getting spell elements is going to be a lot easier. You're going to be getting these drops. But I'm hoping that they drop as much as these ones did. And also, I'm pretty sure you only get the drops for your school. So that's pretty good. You'll always get whatever school you're on, and you'll be able to upgrade this once you get 75 or whatever it's going to be. So I'm excited for that. You have something to farm for besides gear. You can upgrade your spell. So what Matt is proposing is some changes to these tiers of our spells. And I want to go ahead and show you guys this. So let me go over to... Actually, I'm going to go with my mount because the flapping Gulcher wings is going to be annoying. So here we go. I want to show you guys this because it was super interesting and it's something that they haven't done yet with spell writing. And this is honestly where I wanted them to go with spell writing. I wanted the different tiers to be completely different from one another. Like, in the past, the rank 1 and rank 2 spells are barely any different from each other. Like the paths that you go on these are pretty much the same. Like usually one is like a little bit more damage and the other one is like the effect does a little bit more, but this is actually changing the spell a lot. So the Spore Machine, which normally right now is 7 pips, 1 shadow, they're actually going to give you the 5 pip version of this spell. Still does a decent amount of damage, same trap and all of that. But you have the option to either increase the pip cost and give yourself more damage up to where it is currently, the 1230 to 1350. And this is a single hit, by the way. Or you can reduce the pip cost and it'll deal less damage. But I mean, come on, you have a 3 pip, 1 shadow spell. Like for a 3 pip spell, this is doing a lot. And you get that trap. So I really like this one. If I were to get enough spell elements on my fire, I would go for this bottom path. Because a single hit doing this much is super useful. And I think that'd be pretty cool for fire to have. So I would love for them to have this update. And I would basically go for this buffed up, Sunbird with 1 shadow to do that much damage. Like, that'd be crazy. So there's some other ones in here. Let's look through all of them. Here's a life one. Life, the effect gives you that pacify self, which isn't super useful. I don't really know why you would want that. It's just kind of a after effect for hitting. But yeah, this one also starts at the 5 pips. And I think all of them do that because he wants to start in the middle, and then you can either increase it or decrease it. This one is also single hit, so obviously I feel like the lower pip one is going to be more worth it. But I mean, if you feel, as a life wizard, you can make that decision and be like, okay, do I want to weigh a bigger, heavier hitting spell for more pips, or the lower one? Do I want a upgraded treant here or a big 7 pip, single hit? So the interesting ones are the hit alls. But yeah, both of these so far have been the single hit. So let's move on to the ice one. This one does the taunt to self. So all these are just 1 turn. I don't know if he's going to change that to be more than 1 turn. But basically that means the enemies have to hit you. I haven't tested this, but I'm pretty sure it means the enemies have to hit you for the next turn. Like, they can only target you. They can probably still do AoEs. But for single targets, they have to hit you. And also same thing, increase the damage or, decrease it. And you get a 3 pip shadow spell, which I think is super useful. I love the low pip spells, especially spells that could be doing this much damage. Like, that's always good. Every wizard would want that. But I mean, you have the choice. That's why I like these spellment branches, because it's way more of a choice than we've had in the past, and it's easier to get if you farm for it. So moving on, here is the Storm one, which we just looked at, but obviously it's a lot different now because Matt's been messing with it. He also messed with the mechanic and instead decided that Storm should get a plus 25% critical blade to your next hit, and you only get this if you crit through on an enemy. So no defeating enemies. This time you just have to crit through them, so you could get it without defeating the enemy, which is kind of nice. And your next hit will be buffed up with more critical. And starting at 5 pips, you can get it up to 7, which this one's crazy right here. Like, look at this. I really like the top tier for this one because I feel like Storm already has a lot of lower pip spells that do a lot of damage, and I don't really need a 3 pip hit. I mean, it's nice. I would honestly take both of these. Like, could I get both of these tiers and have a nice 7 pip shadow hit all and also a 3 pip, But we have Tempest, okay? But yeah, I would love to farm on my Storm for this path because that's pretty good. I mean, every Storm is going to want to do this. And you also have incentive to farm because you can upgrade the spell you just got. So we also have the Myth one. This one is way less damage. It's a hit all, by the way, but it's way less damage because of how powerful this mechanic is. The Confuse mechanic is you target someone with this, it's going to hit all, you target someone, it's going to confuse them. There is then a 50% chance that the person confused uses a spell. I don't know if it's in your hand or in your deck, but uses a spell on their own team. So just like Medulla, right? I don't know if it has to be a hit or what, but that is my understanding of it. So basically like Medulla, getting confused in that fight, you can do that to an enemy, which is pretty good. It's pretty powerful, but for that, you're going to have to have less damage. So, but you can get that mechanic on a 3 pip spell. Here is the Death one, which is also an AoE, and this one also has less damage because of the effect. The effect on this one is it pushes a negative charm that's on you, so you could push a plague or a weakness, whatever, onto a target, and you can either decide to get more damage and still push, or less damage, same effect. This one's pretty low, like you're going to push, but also only do, 250 to 370 on all enemies. But, I mean, that's the price you pay for these kind of mechanics. And obviously this one would only be good if you were actually pushing a charm off of you. If you're not, then there's better spells. You're not going to want to use this. The mechanic definitely brings down the damage of these type of spells. So I think this is the last one. We're on to balance, and this one's pretty good. Like, I was surprised on this one. So 5 pips, you do 830 to 950 single target, and you can increase that up to over 1,000, almost 1,200, or you can go down to this one, which is 3 pips, 1 shadow, 590 to 710. That's pretty powerful for a single hit. And it also converts 50% of, like, the last blade, I think. I'm not really sure how that works, but yeah, one of the blades that you have on you. And it converts it to a universal blade for half. So kind of a weird effect. I don't really know if I would use that, but a 3 pip doing this much damage, single target, that's good. Like that, that's good. So yeah, this one definitely could have some use. All of these could potentially be tweaked in some way. I have no idea, but that's just what Matt has put out. And it gives us an interesting idea at where these spells could go. So I'm going to switch back to the actual game. But yeah, it is super interesting to see this kind of insight. This is why I love test realms, because we get to see this kind of insight on the direction that the developers want to take the game. I would love to get a 3 pip shadow spell for my fire, because that could be super useful. For my storm, since the spell is an AoE, I would go for the harder hitting one, because you want harder hitting AoEs as storm. That is just going to be a direct upgrade to Stormlord if I have a, shadow pip. So here is the deck setup that I use in Karamelle for questing, and I just use Frenzy first turn if I don't think I can kill a Tempest, then use Stormlord if you get a shadow pip, use those 7 pips on the new spell, and does a lot of damage. So it just makes sense for Storm to get the 7 pip. And if it does even more damage than this, it's going to be really powerful. For Storm, I just feel like you would go for the more expensive, harder hitting AoE. But for my fire, I would definitely get the lower pip one. And the other schools, I mean, for my life, I have no idea if I'm even going to farm for that on my life. I mean, I'll get it, but not sure if I'm going to upgrade it. I'll definitely upgrade my fire and my storm one first. But I love the direction that KI is taking Spellements, and it honestly gives me hope. Because there was a time when I looked at Spellements, and I was just like, why was this even added into the game? I don't even have enough Spellements to upgrade any of these. I've never upgraded any of these. These Spellement tiers are just kind of sad. And, like, all of these, like, Accuracy Blade, don't really care too much about that. I mean, otherwise, you're just upgrading for damage. And these Spellements, you had to pay to get. Or you had to farm, like, a crazy amount. So, I really want KI to make Spellements easier to get. And it seems like they're starting to do that with the new spells in Karamelle. So, I'm excited for that. I hope they go through with these changes. I would love to see this kind of customization to our spells. Maybe they can incorporate that into other ones. I don't know. But well, they're probably not going to change the rank 1 and 2 spells. But if they could do that to the other ones, like rank 3, 4, I don't know. I would love to see it. But that is going to do it for this video. So I just wanted to look at all those things. A lot of cool things happening in this test realm. And I think my next video, I'm going to be looking at the critical for you guys and seeing how that pans out, because it is different. And I want to go ahead and run those numbers so you guys can see exactly how it works on Test Realm right now. So let me know what you guys think of all this in the comments. Which spell do you like the best for the Spellement tiers? Definitely be subscribed so you know when I post more Test Realm videos in the future. Leave a like on your way out, and I'll see you guys next time.